Hello, family. Welcome back to JFK Today, your direct link to all things politics, comedy, and culture. I am your host, Janaya Future Khan, champ yapper and frequent nuisance in the activist and comedy worlds. Let's get dialed in. Just before we jump, JFK is a self-funded, self-produced show. We're on Patreon at Janaya FK. I am so grateful for all the support that you've given thus far and for you just taking the time to listen. With that, let's hit the overview. Look, there's a lot of quick hits. A lot of cases we got to, go over. But you all know for a fact there's only one guy we're really talking about today. That is the person of interest that has captivated the internet. He is the shooter, potentially, of CEO Brian Thompson, and his name is Luigi Mangione. Luigi Mangione! I got a lot to say about him. And so did the internet, and you're about to find out every piece of it that matters. Right before we jump, here are some quick hits. This is one of my favorite headlines today. Donald Trump says Prince William, quote, looks better in person. I've been randomly laughing at this. Why did he? I bet you he was asked about tariffs and he just threw that in there. Why did he have to go there? We all know that Prince William peaked at like 14 years old. He just like peaked. He went from this angelic little child to whatever. When his personality set, like, we can all be clear that Harry won the gene pool there. Let's just be honest, right? A ginger took the number one spot. Okay. Yeah. Can you imagine, though, being Prince William and just, like, putting powder on so you don't have a shine on the top of your dome, and you find out that Donald Trump called you ugly? Oh, man. While drinking your Earl Grey? What a time. Anyway, another headline today, Ozempic killed diet and exercise. And look, at some point, we are going to have a conversation on how weirdly skinny is back in a really intense way, but we can't talk about it because body positivity sort of changed that. Now, like, fat phobia is coded in this whole, like, your body, your choice kind of framing. It's very weird, right? And I'm not for or against, weight loss drugs beyond that, because I think it's very important and useful for certain people. And I think that, here's the thing. Sure, there's got to be more research and science and all this shit. But like, in the meantime, could you not make it sound so fucking awesome? Ozempic killed diet and exercise. Those are two things I literally hate. Unless I was going to say 48 hours, and then I realized that I was like, that's not accurate enough. It was more like within 36 hours. I've had 4 donuts, chocolate glaze raised, just like, that's where I'm at, okay? If you're telling me that there's something out there where I could eat as many donuts as I want, right? And it's going to and I can maintain what I got going on, give me it. Give it to me now. I hate exercise so much. I like training, okay? But that's because you dangle a carrot in front of me and I'll chase it if the carrot's dipped in something delicious. But maybe in the meantime, don't make it sound so fucking awesome. Every time they talk about drugs, whether they're, psychedelics or fucking Ozempic, they just keep making them sound awesome. Just please get it together. Anyway. Here's a funny story. So remember how Dr. Patrick Soon-Shiong, that's the billionaire of the LA Times, when he stepped in and stopped the presidential endorsement and has been like flexing his might over there ever since to curry favor with Donald Trump. So this guy's not done, apparently. Get this, right? This is the owner of the LA Times, right? He has publicly declared that his staff harbors bias against conservatives without offering a shred of evidence. And here's my favorite part. To address this, he is going to create, right? He's getting people to create what he calls a bias meter at the LA Times. I think it's going to function in the way that Community Notes functions on X, right? Which sometimes could be funny, right? Because all those politics over there are wild and incoherent. So someone would be like, this person's transgender, and the Community Notes would be like, this person is not transgender. But at the end of the day, that's a very stupid idea. It's very loser behavior. anything to just kiss the ring. And that's the problem with these billionaires. Like, I think Harry Litman, who recently resigned from the LA Times as a result of this, he was the senior legal affairs columnist, right, for the LA Times opinion section, right? So he resigned as a result of this. He said, I don't want to continue to work for a paper that is appeasing Trump and facilitating his assault on democratic rule for craven reasons. Soon Xiong has made several moves to force the paper over the forceful objections of his staff into a posture more sympathetic to Donald Trump. The only posture that I could think of is literally just like low-key dick sucking, if we're just going to be honest. Like these billionaires and the way that they are bending over backwards to curry favor with Donald Trump is wild. Like, it's wild to me. Like, but we're going to be seeing more of it. And we do have, because here's the facts, right? Like, I'll crack some jokes about this in a second. But this like new information ecosystem, it's worse in a way than it's ever been. Like, okay, newspapers and networks of the 20th century, we knew that they had problems. They are losing ground on every fundamental level, but the people taking their place are not, there's no rules. There's no due diligence. There's no research. And so I was sitting there thinking about the loser podcast bros. I realized that I am one. Like, I'm one now. I was furious. I was furious to find out that I was a loser podcast bro. Damn it, I still am. This is where we're at. And this is what happens when billionaires own our shit. So while we develop this new media ecosystem, I'm going to look forward to this show being a part of a new wave that is committed to doing its due diligence. Now, back to this like bias meter thing, because I have been having a field day with that. Can you imagine if we all had bias meters floating over our heads with everybody we talked to or everything we saw? My shit would be going off constantly. Like, I'd be running around being like, I'm an activist, I care about these things. And the bias meter would just be like, this is a lie. Immediately, this is a lie. Like, okay. Like, when I found out that white people didn't wash their legs, that shit would have gone off more regularly than the dead battery smoke detector sound in a black person's house. You know what I'm talking about. Boop. Like, it just would have immediately outed me. Okay, you got to take your washcloth, and the runoff from your chest does not mean your legs are clean, you guys. I love you, my dirty little baboons. I got you, right? Or like when a white celebrity says that they don't shower often, just it would burst. It would burst. And what if we needed funding in that moment? It would have broken. But you know, honestly, it would out me in so many ways. Like, you guys know, I've read the stuff, okay, on class. I'm very well versed on class, racism, you know, all the isms and phobias. But I fucking hate Western Avenue in certain areas. Like, it is, I'm going to just be frank, okay? Nothing against anyone there, okay? It's too bumpy and it's too poor. I hate being on Western Avenue. I said it. Certain parts of it, I can't do it. I can't do it. And I grew up in the hood, you guys. Like, this is where the bias meter would completely out me. Like, we are all wonderful and all garbage bags at the same time, okay? And it's really just about our actions. It's about our actions. But low-key, I do want to see what a bias meter would do. Anyway, speaking of this new media ecosystem, I am following what the future of TikTok is going to be. As you know, TikTok is facing getting kicked out of America because not enough American billionaires are getting their pockets full. This will impact, like, what? Hundreds of thousands of people who are small business owners or creatives that, you know, make money off of that platform. And Donald Trump said he was going to see through ousting them. Now he's saying he's going to save it. I have a feeling that as long as the certain wheels are greased, I made a money sign when I said that. I don't know why I did that, because I guess I don't know what the greased wheel is. I don't know. Whatever that gesture is, that's the gesture that I mean. But as long as enough billionaires make money, I think that it's going to be fine. He's now, because, you know, Trump said he's going to save it. But what I'm curious about is considering how close Musk is to this whole situation, right? And considering how Mark Zuckerberg has sort of been like, I'm going to dodge any kind of political accountability and change Meta's rules so that politics are less important, less seen in the algorithm. He's just dodging bullets, dodging political bullets, the way that Lil Kim did on the stage that one time. I think they might be deeply invested in seeing TikTok fail. So I'm going to be watching that. Anyway, they filed this injunction. They want to buy time until the Supreme Court reviews the case, which would allow TikTok to be in America and be accessed by American folks past its deadline of January 19th. I'll be following that story. It's yet to be seen. But I will say, I'm not fully on board onto these other platforms yet, right? Because next year I'm going to be really focusing on sort of building out on TikTok and YouTube. But I did have this funny moment where on a couple of posts, and I'm not on it proper yet, right? Like I'm not on it proper, but there's a couple of posts where people are like, I don't think this person knows what intersectionality is about me. And I got to tell you, I had a good time with that one. I was like, get rid of it. Get rid of it now. Our year of growth and expansion, both as a collective and as individuals next year, is going to be unprecedented. I know things feel like shit, but trust and believe this is our time. Trust me when I say it. Anyway, here's a quick callback to episode 44. I think basically it's the one that was titled, Fox News or Emmys recap, whatever. But a very important ruling just came down. So a few months back, Rupert Murdoch, right, the Fox News media mogul, right, he owns the whole empire. He was facing his adult children in court over who will maintain control of the media empire, specifically with Fox News' fate hanging in the balance. So here's the thing. Rupert Murdoch wants Lachlan, his bootlicking loser son, to completely take over the running of the Fox News empire because it was under Rupert and Lachlan's hands that it went super hyper right? Like, do you remember when they got sued for hundreds of millions of dollars because of sexual assault allegations and fake news, like talking about how the election was rigged, and then they got sued and then they lost? Yeah, over and over again. So that's what they want. Because imagine we're losing that much money, right? $787 million, for example. That's not enough to change. I want you to just for a moment think about how much money they make, where that's not enough to say, hey, maybe we should stop this. Here's what's key. So it was Rupert and Lachlan on one hand, and then the other adult children, James, Prudence, and Elizabeth, right? I know it sounds like I'm just reading the names from a Jane Austen novel, but these are the names. So those three were facing off with Rupert and Lachlan because right now they all stand to inherit the same amount. And James, Prudence, and Elizabeth want to change Fox News back to something more traditional, less full of bullshit, less right-wing histrionic nonsense, right? Well, so it was a big deal because it's like very Succession coded, right? Well, guess who fucking lost in court? Rupert Murdoch. Sorry, Rupee baby. It's going to all your kids. You lost, my nig. It's over. We might be seeing, right, in a few years, a massive shift because they all have equal voting power. They all would have still had their billions of dollars, right? But you know how it goes now. We got to look at the benevolent ones to try to save some parts of our quality of life. Okay, we've done it. We did the new stuff. Now it's time to get into Luigi Mangione. Okay, let me catch you up. So police have a man in custody, 26-year-old Luigi Mangione. He is their, quote, strong person of interest. They have no idea how literal that is. Okay, so let me just tell you how this happened. You already know they're looking for the shooter. They apprehended him in Pennsylvania. I can't stop saying Luigi Mangione. I literally cannot stop saying. I'm like, time to give them a Mangione. It's time. But okay, I'm going to tell you what happened. So this guy, right, was in McDonald's, and a fucking McDonald's employee the manager snitched and said, this guy looks like the guy. I'm going to call the fucking police. And he did. And I just want to be clear. A McDonald's worker, right, snitched on the man fighting against private healthcare profiteering. What the fuck happened to the proletariat? Okay? What do you mean? What do you mean? McDonald's worker like not Mickey D's, not a snitch at Mickey D's. Oh my God. On Luigi, we are surrounded by a bunch of Chris Pratts. Just Mario horrors everywhere, just Mario stands. What a loser. What a loser. One of the funny things that came out of this all day is that people immediately started to negative review bomb that McDonald's location. They're like, there are rats up in there. There are rats. That was really funny. But yes, so that's how it happened. I want to be clear. This is a direct quote from the BBC and echoed across news media, traditional news media, right? From USA to ABC. Investigators revealed that finding the 26-year-old was a complete surprise, and they did not have his name on a list of suspects before Monday, which is to say that it is because of this fucking snitch that this guy was out here doing that shit. Okay. Now we got to get into the Luigi Mangione lore, okay? Because we're talking about the man from here on in. We're not talking about the mission, okay? Because this thing's taking on a life of its own, and I promise you, I did everything I could to stay a serious adult person, okay? I did. I tried so hard, but my inner gremlin and the internet won today because we are on one. So I went down the Luigi Mangione rabbit hole because that's what I'm here for, you guys, okay? I'm going to tell you right now, he's a fucking babe. He's a fucking babe. And he reads books and he leaves reviews on them. Okay, I'm going to give you the backstory. And I'm going to tell you some of the takes. So he's from University of Pennsylvania. He got his bachelor's and master's degree in computer science, right? He was the valedictorian at his high school. Likely, he was radicalized after a very serious back injury. And I have only hurt my back once. It was fucking debilitating. The most brutal injury I've ever had. I was, I'm a boxer or whatever. But I wanted to get stronger, and I did so I started to deadlift, but pushed myself too hard and likely did not have the best form. I could not walk for months without taking a moment to pause, exhausted and in pain. And you know how it goes. Your back injury, the more you don't work your back, the weaker your back gets, the more prone to injury you are. And it goes on in this endless cycle, right? So a back injury would radicalize just about fucking anybody. He also turned 26, so he was off healthcare. Okay. There's a lot of lore about him. Every single thing he's ever done online, every single thing about him, all the different takes, it's fascinating. This guy's fascinating. He comes from wealthy parents, but then he also read this and he read this. I'm going to read you some tweets that I pulled out of thousands that are the best tweets that capture the complex competing interests that represent the modern day man, Luigi Mangione. Okay? The Mangione effect, we can call it, right? He's the adjuster. He's the fucking adjuster. By the way, actually, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to start reading this shit. So one of the things that came out was Luigi Mangione. He's bi. I'm going to tell you right now. Ryan Murphy is frothing at the mouth to get these fucking life rights. He's like, a gay fucking murderer? I'm on this shit. Like, I'm ready. Here's some tweets I pulled. These are so funny. Breaking: Luigi Mangione bi confirmed. A friend of mine made out with him while he was a student. For those curious, he is bi. Hashtag equal opportunity. And there were many with screenshots, y'all. So, but he wasn't quiet about it. It's okay. Like, it wasn't like an evil outing. Kim Kelly said, grappling with the implications of the adjuster turning out to be a hot Italian Tech bro Jim Rat, who went to Penn, seems to have had a pretty gnarly back injury, retweets anti-woke nonsense and has read not one but two books by Steve O. He's a complicated guy. You will find out that he is weirdly anti-capitalist, but really loves Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, AOC. He's very much a picture of the modern man in so many ways. Okay. John Marco, who's one of my favorite comedians, all we have to do is convince Biden that Luigi is his son. Sorry. Okay. Cancella Lansbury says this. Luigi is just another toxic Bernie bro turned Hubermanitarian. So he also is a huge Huberman podcast bro. He likes that guy. I also listen to Huberman. I listen to everybody. Okay, anyway. Luigi is just another toxic Bernie bro turned Hubermanitarian, eco-fascist Luddite, accelerationist, roided out gym rat, supplement pilled chaser, Trotskyite with washboard abs who refuses to elevate marginalized voices and probably hasn't even seen Wicked. Of course, most of these were written with humor in mind, right? Someone said, Lauren Balik, like most software engineers, Luigi spent his time on political manifestos instead of writing code and producing. Okay, but here's the thing that's funny, okay? Because he's like obviously a computer developer, bro. His manifesto was like 2 pages long. That's not enough for the readers out there. This is why we need the humanities, you guys, so that I could read long manifestos. Sula is, I don't know if you just heard her, but she's in here and I'm standing up. My desk could be a standing up when I needed to stand because I've been sitting too much. And she is like, why are you standing up and not playing with me? This is ridiculous. Anyway, back to these hilarious takes. Okay. This is somebody who just captured Molly Perkyset. Reading these names, these Twitter names are also killing me. But this is what she said about his followers. Like he follows Steve-O, he follows Joe Rogan, Trevor Noah, AOC, Patrick Bet-David, Ezra Klein, Edward Snowden, RFK Jr. And I'm like, yeah, you are going to see, as we mentioned in so many episodes, that in this media ecosystem and also in this world, first of all, to be a man of any age below 45, you are going to be somewhat red-pilled. It just is inescapable. It's inescapable that you are going to be somewhat red-pilled. It doesn't matter what your interests are. That's the world in which we live, right? So, yes, here we go. This is great. Luigi Mangione, this is by Billy Kaplan Updates. Luigi Mangione is an Ivy League comic book reading, Pokemon loving, Carly Rae Jepsen listening, weightlifting Italian-American. This man was genetically engineered in a lab specifically for me. Oh, I have been having such a good time. And then, of course, you have your annoying bits because he's getting so much attention because he's a thirst trap. By the way, this is a good note for anybody out there who is thinking about assassination, right? Even if it's just a fantasy. Definitely get in shape because honestly, you will win the internet. You will win the internet. You're going to win the internet. This person goes, oh, look at me. This is Nate Driver. Ooh, look at me. I'm Luigi Mangione. I killed a guy nobody likes and everybody thinks I'm hot and I went to Penn and I'm good at Pokemon. Fuck you. I'm sorry. It's just like... Oh my God. Is this a good one? Why did I screenshot this? Oh, yeah. This is what, okay. So the McDonald's in particular, and I'm not telling you to go ahead and give it a bad review, because it's getting a lot of those. It deserves it. Is Altoona. That's where he was arrested. Altoona McDonald's. This is what somebody wrote on one of the reviews when they gave it a 1-star for food and service and atmosphere. It said, this location has rats in the kitchen that will make you sick and your insurance isn't going to cover it. It's just ridiculous. Like the internet exploded. It exploded. It's been wild. But here's the thing. A lot of people are making a lot of assumptions about this guy and what he believes and what he doesn't believe. And, you know, he'll write a review on the book from the Unabomber guy. He'll write a review on this. He'll write a review on that. You're not going to find the thread that I think is going to make him clearly a leftist or somebody who is a red-pilled right-wing nut. It's not that simple, and it's really interesting because there's been a lot of folks who are on the more extreme polarized sides, right? So think of, what's my guy's name? Hold on, I'm looking it up right here, you guys, because there's too many names sometimes, but Glenn Greenwald, thank you. Glenn Greenwald, right? Like, this is a guy who also is very complicated, somebody I used to really love and respect, and it's, at certain times then his politics got really wonky, which has happened to a lot of dudes, to be honest with you. But he was like, oh, you see how the left is, they find these things out about him and now they hate the guy. And it's like, actually, no, everybody's really still into him. I think we all understand that it's not so cut and dry, but I've seen right-wing nuts be like, this is a left-wing murderer. And it's just like, what are you talking about? He is very much a byproduct of our time. He's very much a byproduct of our time. And, it's so interesting because I'm like, sorry, this is my own shit. Because I'm just like, how did you think deeply enough that you inscribed words onto the bullet shells, onto the casings, but you're wearing the same fucking jacket? To make Donald, more importantly, why are you out in the streets, nigga? Why aren't you home hiding like anybody would who just killed somebody? Potentially, allegedly. We don't know if this is the guy. He's got beautiful eyebrows. I have been staring at him all day. He's gorgeous. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Oh, he comes from money. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And like, I'm going to tell you something. Ryan Murphy is mogging bitches left and right to get the life rights. We know this, right? Like, this is what I know to be true. I'm ready for jury duty. I am ready for jury duty. I'm going to need a citizenship here ASAP. Like, call me up, coach. I'm ready to go. I'm going to just say this, right? Because a lot of folks, there's been a lot of people bent over saying, he can take refuge here because he's such a good looking guy. This is what I got to say. Because a lot of folks were like, oh, he's like this and he's a slut and he's like that. Because the internet has been nuts, but I'm just going to, he's Italian. He's Italian, okay? Because, yeah, he got around on the apps a bit. He's living his life. He's Italian. He handles business. You know what I'm saying? That's the Italian way. Made me think of Andrew Cuomo. Do you remember when all these allegations came out about him? And this was literally Andrew Cuomo's defense. I'm not perverted. I'm just Italian. This is what I'll say, right? Because there's going to be endless takes on this guy. And by the way, his mugshot is out and he looks better than ever. It's wild. It's wild. But this is what I'm going to say. It doesn't matter what his politics are exactly. Like, it doesn't matter about his political beliefs or the wealth he supposedly comes from, or that he posts Tucker Carlson and follows AOC, right? These are all things that are true, right? What we know to be true is that private healthcare profits and incentivizes human suffering. This is the larger take we need to be focused on and not get lost in the weeds. So for sure, he's a mixed bag. But you know what? When it comes to this guy, we all are Italian American. You understand? We're all a pseudoscientific, philosophical, gym rat, hot, bisexual Italian man today. That's what I'll say. Because that's the only thing that matters. Why it happened and the feeling that it tapped into, that's what matters. It was a unifying moment. And I have had the best time reading these tweets out to you because I have never seen such a schizophrenic take on a human being before. Oh, I just like, and here's something that is interesting though. He made pre-scheduled posts, right? He said that, and so these posts came up after he was arrested. And they said, if you see this, I'm already under arrest. So all is scheduled. Be patient. Bye for now. So on some level, he knew that it was a possibility. and this is supposed to come out on his YouTube page. I watched his follower account on X, Twitter. Let's be serious, Twitter grow exponentially. I think he started out with a few thousand followers, and then by the time a couple hours had gone by, he'd gone up to 183,000, and then Twitter suspended his profile. And I was like, thought you guys were all about that free speech thing. That's what Elon has run on. Doesn't matter what you've done. Doesn't matter who you are. I'll just say this. For those posts, I'm going to be watching out closely for that. You can count on it. This is what I guarantee to my other gym rat, hot, bisexual Italian men out there. We are in this shit together. We'll be following this court case closely. But what we do know is that this person is extremely clear about this one thing, right? The conclusions that he drew, like, which is, on the evilness of private healthcare. On this one thing, we can agree. As much as I will be moved by the commitment, right, and the follow through, etc., I just know that vigilante justice, it has its limits. Like, again, it's Daniel Penny, who, by the way, and last follow up of the day, is walked away free and clear, right? So we know that he wasn't going to get a manslaughter charge as of yesterday, but now he's been fully acquitted because of the perception of a threat. So when it comes to things like that, it's always going to fall on marginalized communities and justifying violence against those folks. It's not going to happen to millionaire and CEOs. It's not going to happen to billionaires. They made it very clear, like at a certain point, they're just not going to be accessible anymore. And this was a wake-up call for them. So, I'm looking at this video of him being arrested. I'm going to just say, it's a wild time. It's a wild time we live in. It is a wild time we live in. I was not expecting that, but you know what? It makes sense because the internet is for this stuff. The other thing is, the reason why I'm not reading anything from the manifesto yet is because I have not verified it as a source. And so I'm not going to bother with things that I cannot say for sure are true. But I will say that, like, on things that reviews that he's written, this is one, I'm going to end here because this is really funny to me. I have a very, very complicated relationship, like many lefties do, with Matthew Iglesias. I don't like him most of the time. And Luigi rated the book 1 star. 1 Billion Americans, The Case for Thinking Bigger. That's Iglesias' book. Most of the time, he's just honestly establishment dem shill, but he's very well liked, right? And he gets things right sometimes. Broken clocks, am I right? But anyway, this is what Luigi said as a review of his book. Fantastically and fundamentally misunderstands and misrepresents simple concepts like socio-ecological carrying capacity and resource scarcity acceleration. The core premises of this book cannot support the weight of their own painfully obtuse oversights, let alone the nationalistic crap heaped atop. I've had a great day. It's been wild. It's been wild. But I'm going to read this last thing. I already said this, but it's always good, to bring in different voices. But this is what Hermit Orang said on X. I do not care if Luigi Mangione, assuming this is really the guy, shares my personal ideological outlook. His alleged actions were propelled by the material conditions of capitalism and can be used to advance class consciousness and struggle. And that, my friends, my family, is true. Thank you for enduring my absolutely unhinged episode today. Who says, right, there aren't any literary men left? It's just that this is where they are. You want to read a review? He gave 4 stars to Industrial Society and Its Futures by Theodore John Kaczynski. And if you know, you know. Okay. He was a reader, y'all. He was a reader. A real kitten. Anyway, it seems like it's about time to hit that question of the day because I've lost it. I've lost it. This is what the internet has done to me. All right, here we go.
Hi, I'm Tori, and I wanted to know what your Spotify Wrapped was like and how you feel about like the Spotify using AI and like laying off a bunch of people, and if you thought that your Spotify Wrapped was AI.
Okay, great question. Start with the middle one. How do I feel about Spotify laying off a bunch of people? It sucks. It fucking sucks. A lot of folks had no idea it was coming, and last year they did the Wrapped, which is a very involved process for a lot of staff, and then immediately fired a bunch of folks. And it's been so consistent across the board. I can't even look at Spotify and say it's just them, right? It's obviously every corporation. But podcasts and like specifically just the way that massive deals were made, like they made some huge mistakes. The Obamas, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, folks who did not need to make podcasts, gave them paid out upfront hundreds of millions of dollars, right? For folks who didn't need to make the podcast and honestly didn't want to pass certain episodes. So they lost hundreds of millions of dollars on that, thinking that those names alone would be enough to bring in money and cover the advertising costs. What we're seeing a couple of years later is that there is a stabilization that's happening. The interest in podcasts haven't gone down, so that's really great. But a lot of people need work, and it put in a lot of time and energy into it. I mean, look, trying to navigate a deal with Spotify to get this show made ate up. What strung me along is the term. They strung me along for a year and a half before I was like, this. I don't care if it's on whose desk it's on. I got to do this. Like I don't want to. I did not want to have to worry about what I could say or could not say, and there were a lot of concerns about that. So I think it's bullshit that people got fired so that very, very, very wealthy people could get paid. But the leadership that Spotify is currently under, I hope they give those leaders oversight because they know what's up. And they called themselves out, for a lot of the misjudgment and miscalculation. Podcasts were never supposed to, be this massive launch pad for major celebrities, Anyway, so yeah, a lot of love shouting out, shout out to those, I think, who got the rug pulled out from under them with that, because that sucks, and I know some of those folks. So that's number one, right? And that's the thing. There's always amazing creative people in these corporations, and they're the first people on the chopping block. So there's that, right? But Spotify knows my business. I wish I could say it was AI, but I am so on the nose. Every year it's the same fucking song that's my number one song, and that's Jesus of Suburbia by Green Day. I'm so pathetic. I will not change. Like, yes, I listen to Kendrick, but I also listen to a lot of orchestral sounds. I love, Philip Glass, for example. I just listen to a lot. I have a very eclectic taste, and Pig Destroyer. I'm weird, but without fail, every year it's going to be Jesus of Suburbia. So I'd love to be like, it was AI. It was definitely AI. But that's been true for the last several years. I'm not a person that really is going to change my music that much. Maybe I need to make more friends who can push me on that shit. But man, what a good song. What a damn good song. Like, give me parking, like 15-year-old suburban rage and angst in an emo goth boy that just hangs out in the mall. That's who I am inside. What can I say? That's what I transitioned into, an anime character. Anyway, I'm yapping. So much love out to y'all. Let's hit that that end music, because I will chat your ear off till the end of time. Here we go. All right. I just want to say thank you so much for listening to JFK Today. It means the world to me. The show really is a labor of love. New episodes drop 4 times a week. We're available everywhere podcasts are. Shout out to all of you, who are supporting this self-funded show. We are on patreon.com/JanayaFK. Don't forget, I want to hear from you. Drop your questions in a voice note form to jfktodayShow@gmail.com. Shout out to KR and Carolyn, and shout out to you, the listeners that make it all possible. Love you. Peace.